in the WNBA is how poorly officiated these games can be. The lack of competence from the people wearing the striped suits. Every time I watch a WNBA game, a thought crosses my mind when it comes to the officials, and that thought is, how much money do you have on this bet did you place prior to suiting up tonight? What's the over/under, and are you concerned with a specific outcome? The officials in the WNBA, yes, they're incompetent, yes, they're trash, but it always seems like there's some shady, they're so bad and so incompetent, it seems like there's shady business taking place behind the scenes. If the WNBA needs to investigate in anything, if somebody needs to investigate in anything regarding the WNBA, it's about how dirty the hands are. Dirty are the hands of some of these players that are in this league. Oh yeah, tonight's the night I'm just gonna go 2 for 13. Oh, hey, it's the WNBA. I could slide into 2 for 13 and nobody will bat an eyelash. I can shoot 5 for 22 and nobody will really think twice because it happens. So
that's not just a commentator asking a question. That's an accusation. An accusation that the people in charge of the game, the referees, have dirty hands, that there is shady business happening behind the scenes of the WNBA. For a long time, that was just a feeling, a dark rumor whispered by angry fans. But in the final seconds of the Indiana Fever versus LA Sparks game, we saw it happen live. We saw an attempt to steal a victory in plain sight, and it caused the league's biggest star, Caitlin Clark, to absolutely erupt on the sideline. This wasn't just one bad call. This was the result of a season of frustration, questionable decisions, and a pattern of injustice that has finally boiled over. They don't want you to connect these dots, but I'm going to show you the evidence, the pattern, and the explosive sideline reactions that prove this was more than a mistake. This was an attempt to rig a game, and the players are done being silent. To understand the fury, you have to understand the fight. The Indiana Fever walked into Crypto.com Arena on August 29th a wounded team. They were missing their generational superstar Caitlin Clark, who had been sidelined for 19 straight games with a groin injury. 3 other key rotation players were out. They were clinging to a playoff spot by a thread, and this game against the Sparks could make or break their season. And as if to symbolize their entire struggle, there was Lexi Hull, playing with 2 black eyes from a brutal head-on collision in the previous game. She was the walking embodiment of this team's spirit. Bruised, battered, but still fighting, still showing up. That's the heart of this team. They show up no matter what. And on that night, they needed heroes. Odyssey Sims, a former Sparks player, decided to write a revenge story, tormenting her old team and scoring Indiana's last 5 critical points. Aliyah Boston, a player her own coach says is the worst officiated post player in the league, put the team on her back, dominating with 22 points and a career-high 6 steals. They clawed their way to a 1-point lead, 76-75. With just seconds left on the clock, it looked like their grit had paid off. They had overcome the injuries, the pressure, and their opponents, but they never expected their biggest opponent would be wearing stripes. It all started with 1.9 seconds left. A frantic final possession led to Kelsey Mitchell at the free throw line with just 0.4 seconds remaining. She missed both shots. A heartbreaking moment, but the game should have been over. Instead, the chaos began. The referees, instead of letting the clock run out, granted the Sparks a timeout and put 0.1 seconds back on the clock, 1/10 of a second. An impossibly short amount of time to run any kind of play. It felt wrong. It felt suspicious. And for the players and fans who have been watching this happen all season, it felt deliberate. The final 3.9 seconds of the game ended up stretching into nearly 5 minutes of real time as the refs gave the Sparks chance after chance after chance.
Talking about right at the end of the game when the nonsense was being called and cheating was being speculated, right? Everybody was looking like how Caitlin Clark was looking by the end of that game last night with the Indiana Fever and the Los Angeles Sparks. Everybody was looking just like this, man. What in the world? Let's take a look at this. All right. Now, it was 0.6 on the shot clock when this happened, okay? They had the ball. They were running around. I thought the game was over here, honestly. I thought the game was over, but they ended up calling a foul, saying, oh, the game is still going on. All right, whatever. They got the foul. Cool. So, Kelsey Mitchell, She goes to the free throw line, right? And she missed both of them. Now, I think Kelsey Mitchell should have made both of them, all right? At least one of them. But she missed both of them, okay? And there is no way, right at the end of the game, you should be on top of it. You telling me you're not paying attention to when some hands touch that ball? Come on, man. And then to reward them with the timeout, like, fam, that's crazy work. Look, Caitlin Clark, like, what is going on here? She's like, no. Look, Caitlin ready to run the floor, fam. She's like, no. What is this, man? What is this nonsense?
Nonsense was being called, and cheating was being speculated. That's not just fan paranoia. That's the reality of what unfolded on the court. And while the players on the floor tried to keep their composure, the sideline couldn't. Caitlin Clark, in street clothes, became the emotional center of the story. Her visible disgust, her shouting at the officials, her utter disbelief, it was all caught on camera. This wasn't just a player upset about a call. This was the face of the league. The person who has brought millions of new eyes to the WNBA, watching in horror as the integrity of the game she loves crumbled before her very eyes. Her breakdown wasn't one of weakness, it was an eruption of righteous fury from someone who knows the game is supposed to be fair. And this eruption didn't come from nowhere, it's been building all season long. Coach Stephanie White has been fighting this battle alone, getting repeatedly fined by the league for daring to speak out against the officiating. She has pointed out the double standard for her players time and time again. She said it herself, I think Kelsey Mitchell, number 1, is held or chucked on every freaking possession and never gets a call off the ball. I think Aliyah Boston is the worst officiated post player in the league. She never gets a call. This isn't one bad night, this is a pattern. A pattern of specific players on a specific team being targeted. And when the league's response is to find the coach who points it out, it sends a clear message. Sit down, shut up, and accept the injustice. But the players aren't accepting it anymore. While Clark's reaction was visible to everyone in the arena, her teammate Sydney Colson, out for the season with a torn ACL, took to social media to unleash a firestorm. She posted what every Fever fan has been screaming. At a certain point in the league's existence, am I in need for Kelsey Mitchell to get the same whistle as other stars? The way she gets assaulted is insane, actually. And I've considered roping my sister in to have her office pursue charges. An active player accusing the league of allowing one of her teammates to be physically assaulted on the court without consequence. When Clark saw the post, she warned her friend, "Careful, you're gonna get fined." Colson's response was defiant, mocking the refs for trying to give the game away multiple times. This is a breaking point. Players are now willing to risk their money to speak the truth because the silence has become unbearable. The final inbound attempt with 0.1 seconds on the clock was the ultimate insult. It was a mathematical and physical impossibility to catch and shoot in that time, yet the refs allowed it, giving the Sparks one final, unearned lifeline. It was a move so absurd, so blatantly unfair, that it demanded an explanation.
0.1 on the shot. 0.1 on the shot clock, fam. What are we doing? What are we doing, man? I mean, this is nonsense. How do you even have time to do anything? How do you even have time? They did everything they could to try to get them a win in this one, fam. It's ridiculous. It was flat out ridiculous.
Fam, what are we doing? That's the question everyone is asking. And the answer might be darker than anyone wants to admit, because when incompetence looks this consistent, you have to start wondering if it's actually intentional. Sources inside the league have whispered about a disturbing practice, discretionary bonuses being paid to certain referees. These payments, allegedly ranging from $5,000 to $15,000 per season, are funneled through third-party consulting firms. And what are these bonuses for? The stated purpose is chilling, to maintain competitive balance. Think about what that means. It suggests a system designed to influence outcomes, to keep rising teams like the Fever in check, especially a team with a superstar like Clark, who is drawing so much attention. Is it a coincidence that these rumors are surfacing now, after a series of highly controversial games involving the Fever? Could this be the real reason for the double standard Coach White has been screaming about? This brings us to the person at the top, Commissioner Kathy Engelbert. When faced with a crisis of confidence in her officials, Her response has been dismissive and insulting. She finds coaches and players who dare to question the officiating, effectively silencing dissent. Her public stance? No winning team ever complains about officiating. It's a blatant attempt to gaslight the players and the fans, to frame legitimate complaints as sour grapes, but we all saw it. The Fever did win, and their entire sideline was complaining, because they knew they almost had that victory stolen from them. They had to overcome not just the Sparks, but a system that seemed determined to make them lose. The lack of competence is one thing, but when you pair it with rumors of secret payments and a commissioner who refuses to acknowledge a problem, it starts to look like a full-blown conspiracy. The breakdown we saw from Caitlin Clark, the outrage from Sydney Colson, the defiance from Stephanie White, these aren't isolated incidents. They are the cracks forming in the wall of silence. They are the human reactions of people who have been pushed too far, who have been betrayed by the very league that is supposed to protect the sanctity of the competition. The Fever players fought through bruises and injuries. They showed selflessness and grit, only to be told by the officials that their effort didn't matter.
We have a deep team that a lot of people, a lot of players on our team could be playing and they're not. And that's a tribute to our depth, certainly, but also sometimes everybody wants to play, right? And I think the selfless nature of this group just can't be overstated. And that's why we're able to be in positions like this that we're able to be. It wasn't ideal in terms of how the game was. It was ugly. We had moments where we were better than others, but we dug in. I mean, when you think about key defensive stops, key offensive rebounds, like AB's key offensive rebound there at the end, making plays, deflections that led to steals or deflections that led to bobbled passes, just the sense of urgency that we played with in those last minutes through some gray area, right? Through some times when it wasn't perfect, and it was a gut check time, and our team stepped up to the challenge.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was ugly. We had moments where we were better than others, but we dug in. They dug in and they won. Aliyah Boston made the game-sealing steal, snatching the ball and the victory right out of the hands of those who tried to take it. They survived. This time. But the question that should terrify every WNBA fan is what happens next. The system that allowed this to happen is still in place. The officials who made these calls are still on the court. And the commissioner who denies there's a problem is still in charge. And don't you can differ stevs the self-bodak and dawa through one tog and cocky wasing, might the stev the 4-year-old dumb. Caitlin Clark is on the verge of returning. She's already participating in shoot-arounds and non-contact drills. Clips of her warming up are going viral, a signal that the league's biggest star is about to rejoin her battle-tested team just in time for a playoff push. Her return should be a moment of triumph for the league. Instead, it feels like a trigger for the next crisis. A healthy Clark makes the Fever exponentially more dangerous. Will the league allow this resilient team, led by a generational talent, to succeed, or will the need to maintain competitive balance lead to even more ugly games and questionable calls? The attempt to rig this game failed, but what they exposed is a rot within the WNBA, and Caitlin Clark's eruption was the scream that made everyone finally pay attention. The real fight is just beginning.